Hello, greetings. Welcome to my first kind of reading vlogish video. So I'm going to talk about the books while I'm reading them, because normally I just do kind of the review type of at the end of wrap-ups and that. But I thought I would do a bit of as I'm going through the books, because it's so funny, like, reading is quite a solitary experience. It's not really a group thing, or at least for me it isn't. And, you know, as I'm reading, I do find myself kind of reacting and saying things as I'm going through the books and having thoughts. And then sometimes when I'm doing like a wrap up or talking about it at the end, I forget. So I'm going to be doing so what I'm doing is, one of the things I've promised myself is that I'm going to read my new books that I'm purchasing, because I buy like the brand new books and I get really excited about all the new releases, and then it takes me forever to read them. And like also I buy all these really gorgeous kind of hardback copies, and then again by the time I read them, like the softback is out. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to be reading quite a few of my new acquisition books in this video, and I'll kind of be talking. I'll try not to give any spoilers, and if I do give something that I think is going to be a spoiler, I'll say, but I'm just going to give you my general impressions, tell you about the books and all of that fun stuff while I have my coffee. Also, how beautiful, can you see that? How beautiful is this mug? So these are the books that I'm attempting to read. So the first one is Rachel Harrison's So Thirsty. This is brand new out. Waterstones actually managed to get it before the release date. So hopefully this video will actually go out before the general release date. So I've got my hands on a copy of that. Then the other one, and I've started reading this, and I am so enamored with this. This is Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. And I honestly hadn't heard about this. This wasn't on my radar. I didn't know anything about it, and I picked it up while I was in Waterstones because the lady that works there kind of pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. There's stuff about a magic university, and I thought, yeah, this is kind of right up my alley, and I'm just in love with this book so far. So I'm actually on page 264 on this one, and this book has just so many fabulous elements. There is an underlying kind of slow burn romance in this, which I'm really loving. I think it's really sweet. There's magic. It's giving me shades of, there's like a magic library, so it's giving me shades of Harry Potter meets Discovery of Witches. There's kind of like, in a way, a mystery murder plot going on where the dark magic seems to be coming back. So in this world, you've kind of got humans, you've got humans that practice magic and mages, and then you've got the Fae. And the humans and like the Fae have always been fighting against each other. And the humans kind of oppress the Fae and try to suppress all of the magic and, like said, dark magic. And our main protagonist, she is Kat. She's Catherine Kat. She is a Fae. And she just kind of always has to suppress her magic while she's in the school. And she was brought into this magic school by one of the kind of teachers, one of the leaders on the council of the school, as kind of almost like a peace offering for like peace relations between the Fae and the humans. But everybody hates her. They're afraid of her. They hate her. They're really horrible to her. And she's kind of gotten to the end of her time at this academy. And you apparently at the end of your studies, you have to do like become a partner mage with someone. And no one wants to partner with her. And then she partners with Lord Blackthorn, who is kind of has, actually in the beginning, in the kind of records, it says he's dead. So when he turns up and offers her this kind of partnership letter, she's like, say what? And the two of them partner up together, and kind of the story's going from there. And it's just so beautiful. It's so there's so many like magical creatures in this as well, which I love. Like her kind of maid, she's her friend, but also sort of her maid, she acts as her maid, can change form. And like right in the beginning, she changes into a cat. Then she changes into like a magical kind of like dragonish creature. She changes into a mouse. It's just, it's so, I just love it. I'm just getting so lost in the story, and like I said, I'm just, it's a big old book, but I'm just going through it. I'm loving it. It's so incredibly beautiful. So like I said, more than halfway through now, in love with it. Definitely recommended at the moment. I'll let you know kind of once I continue through, but I just really love it. So There's that one, like I said, Rachel Harrison. Then the other one, and you can tell this is the one I was reading earlier, so I'm kind of there. And it's this one, Immortal Dark, by and let me now see if I can get this right, Tegest Germer. I hope I said that correctly. First of all, how stunning is that cover? I mean, look at that cover. It's beautiful. And then I love that. And then what I also love is this. This is the crest of the school that they go to, sort of the magical university. Well, not really magical. It's a university for human and Draniac, which are vampires in this world relations. And I love on the crest here, it says, seek mind above blood. And if you must bleed, use it as ink. I'm going to get that tattooed as a motto. It's fabulous. And then the inside is this amazing bright pink colour. And then what I also love is that each chapter kind of starts with the crest. And also what's interesting in this one is there's like mixed media elements in a way, because there's bits of recording that the main character's sister did. And there's also letters that she's... Fabulous map, but let's see if I can find a letter. There's also letters that she's reading. So it has such cool elements. So this is one of my like majorly anticipated reads of the year, and I think a lot of people have been anticipating. It's been on a lot of kind of videos that I've seen of people anticipating like reads for the year. And sorry, I need my coffee. I need to keep energized. I'm going to attempt to read for sort of 24 hours this weekend, so see if we get there. I have a lot of books to read. And particularly if you like fantasy and if you like vampires. So this is also, it's POC. So these are black vampires, the whole world. It's so cool. I really love the idea that it takes a whole new take on vampires. There's a whole different lore around vampires in this book. And like I said, they're called Draniacs. I think I'm saying that right. So I kind of, in my head, I keep thinking drain, as in drain the blood. Anyway, I don't know if that was the idea, but, and it's also, there's a lot of like African mythology, and I was raised in Africa, so I really, really love that element of it as well. And it's like, it's just so good. It says, bloodthirsty vampire, innocent maiden, think again. And essentially you've got your main protagonist here. She is looking for her sister. So her sister, they're sisters. And the way that this kind of story works, the way this world works, is that you've got humans and you've got vampires. And again, there was kind of almost like a treaty formed between the humans and the vampires, that the vampires can't just go out and feed on anyone. They live on the kind of the campus of this university, and they have different houses. And you've got Draniacs or vampires in each one of the houses, and then the owners of the houses and kind of their humans. And they're allowed to feed from the humans that kind of dedicate themselves in like a ceremony. If they feed on anybody else that hasn't dedicated themselves to that particular vampire, it's considered poison. And it's also considered against the law, so they're kind of punished for that. And our main protagonist, her family is so her parents were the head of one of the houses. And it's cool because her house is one to do with archaeology. But through the years, they've actually ended up with one vampire in their house, and like others have like hundreds. So there's this like, well, why do they only have one? And also her and her sister were kind of sent away when they were kids, and they didn't grow up with their parents, whereas most of the children, obviously, of the houses do. So they understand this world and they go to this university. But anyway, so they're kind of, I'm trying to work out how old exactly she is. I don't think they say, but she must be around 17, 18. And her sister June goes missing, and she's convinced that a vampire took her sister. So her whole reason for kind of enrolling, at first she didn't want anything to do with this world, she didn't want anything to do with this house, she didn't want to be involved in it at all. But after her sister goes missing, she's trying to kind of figure out, she's convinced this vampire took her sister. So she's going to this university and kind of entering this world and taking on the responsibility of this house after her parents are dead. And I think it was her aunt that was running it, is also dead. So, and if she doesn't take over the responsibility of this house, her vampire will. So there's kind of a lot of lore and a lot of world building going on at this point. But I also like the kind of mystery element of like what happened to her sister. her and her vampire do not like each other. And also the way they say innocent maiden, ? She's not particularly sweet or innocent. Let me just say that. So I love that she's certainly no simpering kind of heroine. So, okay. Then those are the 3 that I've kind of started and that I'm really, really keen to read. And then I've got a few more. So if I get to these, literally, Lucy Undying by Kirsten White. Now, I will say I ummed and ahed about whether or not to get this because Kirsten White and I have got beef lately. A couple of years ago, I read some of her books that I really liked. But lately, I've been reading them and I haven't really been enjoying them as much. But this is a Dracula retelling centered on Mina Harkner. And I think it's got a dual timeline where it's like her past and her present timeline of Mina. And I think there's like therapist sessions in here from what I've heard. So I have to try it. I'm gonna not be happy with myself if I don't try it. So I'm really hoping this is good and I'm really hoping I enjoy it because oh my gosh, that cover. How freaking beautiful is that cover? I was like, I can't. So I literally purchased that today. Again, that's come out slightly early. Waterstone's really killing it with the early copies. Then the other one I picked up is The Modern Fairies. Now, this is by Claire Pollard. And I may have bought this because if you've seen some of my other videos and if you actually look at some of the covers of these books, a gold and black cover with some sort of decoration and plant life is pretty much my thing. Anything sort of gothic-y looking. Also, it's called The Modern Fairies. And I'm really kind of in a dark gothic fairy tale phase. And this book is just too beautiful. Also the purple, look at that purple. The book itself is stunning. And this, I don't necessarily think this is supernatural. I think this is more sort of gothic-y. So it's set in 1682 in Versailles, like in Paris. Or no, actually in the city of Versailles. And apparently you've got this bunch of people that get together in like salons, like they used to do, like Parisian salons, and they debate, flirt and perform, it says, and they perform fairy tales and they tell each other kind of fairy tales. So it says, while they weave tales of glass slippers, enchanted beasts and long-haired princesses, a wolf is lurking who threatens to destroy the members of the salon one by one. And it says, brilliant and bawdy, romantic and provocative, The Modern Fairies is a dazzling novel inspired by real events about the delights and dangers of storytelling in dark times. I just think it sounds... have to read this. Like, have to get to this. And then the other one, I could not resist the cover. And it's Where the Dark Stands Still. Isn't that beautiful? Also, look at that. I just couldn't not get it. This front bit reminds me, if anyone's read Shea Earnshaw's what's it, The Wicked Deep or The Wicked something? I swear it looks like that. Anyway, so a cursed forest, a twisted bargain, and a love eternal. Once upon a time, in a forest of tangled secrets, a wild girl and a broken boy fell in love. A dark gothic fairy tale of my dreams. Say no more. Just say no more. I'll let you know if I get to this one. I'll let you know how it goes. But anyway, so that's where we are. So I am actually going to continue reading a bit more of Immortal Dark. Like I said, I'm loving Tales of a Monstrous Heart, but I kind of want to like stop and digest it a little bit because I'm going through it really quickly. So I thought I would pick this one up. And again, it's crazy. It's like when you pick up books that you really like, you kind of want to keep going. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a problem because I'm basically trying to read like 2-3 books at once. But anyway, I'm going to carry on with Immortal Dark. I will give you some more updates later on, talk more about the books, drink more coffee. And yeah, I will see you very soon. Okay, so quick update. I've decamped to outside because it's a beautiful overcast day. It looks like it's about to rain again and, you know, perfect for the vampire complexion. So it's my kind of balcony reading day. So Immortal Dark. This book is... So I swear it was in the YA section at the bookstore, but it is dark. I mean, dark. It really does go there. And I've heard people say that it's like a proper dark vampire book, and it is. I'm really kind of loving it. It's so... So I think I was saying Kidden, who's the main character, she's at this Uxley University to kind of figure out what happened to her sister June, because she's convinced that the Draeniacs, the vampire in her house, kind of taken her and either killed her or is holding her. So she's basically gone there to figure it out. But because she is the heir to this house, she's got to kind of live in this house with this vampire. And they hate each other because they're both wanting to control the house, wanting to inherit the house. And if she kind of fails, and if she doesn't, like, she has to take like certain classes, and if she fails them and that, the house actually goes to the vampire. So he wants the house. So he's trying really hard to get rid of her. And she wants to know what happened to her sister, and they want to kill each other. But I don't mean metaphorically. I mean they want to kill each other. And there's so many scenes, and it's like he plays some like pranks on her, but they're pretty, wow, okay. And then we've just had a death of one of the students as well. So, you know, the whole idea of this kind of treaty is that they're supposed to be keeping the students safe, but one of the girls has just died. And also, and you know, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of darkness in this, and also our main character, Kidden, and this is not spoiling because literally, like in the first few pages, she murdered someone, and she tortured this person. And that's why she thinks that this vampire of her house took her sister, because when she was torturing this person, that was the name they said. So she's actually also got a murder trial hanging over her head. And she's very, like, literally, that is her focus. She wants to find June. And, you know, like, this girl dies. And she's like, oh, I'm trying to cry or something. And she doesn't really, she's really, like, morally grey, right? This is her mission. And she almost is like, I'm going to find out what happened to June. I'm going to avenge her, or I'm going to find her, whatever. And then I'm going to die. And I'm like, that's it. So it's almost like a nihilistic view. But I kind of like the vampires aren't sweet and fuzzy in this either. They are dark. They're like the vampires. There's a lot of bloodlust. There is a scene here with fangs and pliers. So it's yeah, I'm really kind of enjoying. It's good. It's good. It's more like, if you have to compare it, it's more originals compared to Vampire Diaries, because I'm obsessed with the originals. It's one of my favourite vampire shows. And also, what's the other one? The Sookie Stackhouse one, True Blood. Where they're like vampires. We're not, nobody's twinkling or shining or being all cute and fuzzy, and they're not. The other thing though, I'm wondering, because like I said, these two hate each other, they want to kill each other. They both want control of the house. She's convinced he's a murderer. He keeps calling her murderer as well, although in this case kind of is. And I do wonder if we're heading towards an enemies to lovers. And I don't know, and obviously I won't spoil it, but that's my sense. I don't know. I don't know if TS will surprise me and not go there, but I feel like if we're following, I guess, the traditional trope of one of these books, that's kind of where we're going, because they hate each other so intensely. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving all the dark themes in it. I mean, this line here, they live only for themselves and die alone. You know, it's very, yeah, it's very good. I'll update you again later. Okay, so quick check-in. I'm actually in the gym on the treadmill because, you know, I have a gym in my building, and if I sit too long and read, my back gets sore, so I'm like, I may as well do some exercise and read at the same time. I cannot stop reading this book. It's so good. There are so many, like, bits in it. I'm trying to like wrap my thoughts around it, but I would just show you that, yeah, exercise and reading at the same time. I just got to make sure I don't fall off the treadmill. Okay, so quick check-in. I think this is going to be my last check-in for the evening, and I'll come back tomorrow. So I'm over halfway through of Immortal Dark, and I'm still loving it. we're kind of at that stage where a lot of things are being revealed. There's a lot of things happening in the story. Our main character, Kitten, is sort of uncovering a lot of secrets, and it's also then bringing up a lot more questions, like who do you trust? You know, who are really your friends? What I love about this as well is that you think you know who the bad guy is, and you're like, are they? And Kitten continues to remain quite morally grey, which I love, but also she is just so driven and so motivated by the love of her sister and trying to find out and avenge and really understand what happened to her sister. And that's kind of her driving force. And that's really good because it's kind of staying consistent, and she's making decisions that, you know, whether you agree or disagree with the decisions she's making, I think they are still coming from that place. It's driving that place. There is a weird kind of jump at like a page 240 something, which was just, it was like the ending of one chapter and you were reading about something, and then the next chapter started and I was like, what? Wait, how did we get from here? Like, I had to literally check that the page numbers were right, and they are. And it just felt jarring. You know, when you just go, oh, that felt kind of weird. I mean, it didn't really, like, the story continues, but it was just a weird transition. So it's the only thing I would say, that was just odd. It really jumped out at me. It really jarred because, you know, it was just odd. So that was a weird transition, but it actually transitioned into something, you know, quite a big part of the story. Something happened and then we kind of continued from there, so it was fine, but it just felt a bit jarring. The other thing that I will say is that it does also continue to be quite dark, which I love. It's not fluffy and it's not cute in any way. And what I also love is there is a ball that they go to, which is very interesting, and there's something very interesting they have to do at this ball. And then there's also a piece where they're talking about blood courting, and I'm like, sign me up for this. So I'm going to read you a bit where he talks about kind of the blood courting, you know, the biting. So basically he says, it gets better. Each body part conjures a different category of emotion. A bite to the wrist takes you into each other's childhood, and the chest conjures violence. I always prefer the neck, though. Nothing like knowing what a person's desires are. So, you know, stuff like that. I love that. There's also like some great mythology. They talk about Ethiopia. They talk about artifacts, because again, her house is like archaeology based and artifact based. And what's interesting is that each one of these houses has a different speciality. So you get one that's like the arts, music, fashion. There's a fashion house, which is cool. And I love all that. There's a lot, like the world building is kind of being woven into the story as well, which is really cool. And there's a lot of kind of, you know, intricate like mythology and laws and stuff in this world, and the way kind of the Draeniacs, the vampires are, the way the humans are, how they interact, all of that, and you kind of getting that really nicely woven to the story. So I'm liking that. I'm liking the mixture of kind of the action, the story, the main central kind of missing person bit, or her driving force of finding her sister, mixed in with this kind of creating this world, and this world of the university, and weaving in all these different characters. So yeah, I really like it. We'll see how far I get. I might do another check-in, particularly if something like crazy happens, and if not, I'll just talk about it once I finish the book. But yes, that's the Immortal Dark. Really enjoying it. So good night, and I will speak to you soon. Bye. Okay. So I've been trying to gather my thoughts on how I feel about Immortal Dark by T.K. Goma. I finished this book this morning. Literally, I lay in bed reading this for probably a couple of hours because I just couldn't stop. I was trying to finish it last night, and I was so tired, but I just wanted to kind of keep reading. And it took me on such a roller coaster. I think the last time I updated, I sort of said I was on just a little over halfway and things were like really kicking off, and they kind of kick up another gear. People who you thought were one thing aren't necessarily one thing. There's so much about this book I love. I think I was talking about sort of the romance, and it goes there, but it goes there in a, oh, I like it. I really like it. It's very much kind of enemies to lovers, but like, not even like enemies to we have an understanding. I don't know. It's just, oh, it's so good. I really enjoyed it. One of the other things that I really love, I mean, I tabbed so many, you can see particularly towards the end there's so many tabs. And there's a lot of things about being immortal and the fact that the vampire in this book really values his life and almost the human doesn't. And that's why you've kind of got that. There's a lot of tension around, you know, having a soul, having this kind of feeling like you're nothing, feeling like you're wanting to die, that kind of thing, which I thought was beautiful and just made me really think, and was very personal and kind of hit home to me. Like I said, it continues to be a dark novel in the sense that some of the themes that are talked about in it, the sort of the blood courting bit that I read, yeah, that's great. The fact that, like I said, there is this thing about, so who are the monsters? You know, are the vampires the monsters or actually the humans the monsters? And how far will you go for friendship? How far will you go for family? And again, I think when I last updated, I sort of said, our main character, Kid, and her kind of motivation has stayed the same all the way through as her sister June. And then there's also, you know, we see her question her motivation, which I love and I think is really realistic. The only criticism I have, and it's not even a criticism, the only thing I have about this book that was jarring a few times, and again, I think I mentioned it previously and it happened a few more times, was sometimes we switched from one scene to another and it felt jarring. I can't explain it. Like, it's not all the way through the book, it's only a few, but where I kind of felt like there was a jump and it almost felt like an unnatural jump. I don't know what it is. It's just going to be a bit of the editing of the book. But other than that, I mean, this is a 5+, which basically means like a favorite of the year for me. I am in love with this book. I think if you like, and it's really kind of heartening to proper dark vampire lore and romance with a new take on it as well, with the kind of African take on it. It's beautiful. It gives a whole new kind of dimension to it. And when you start to get into some of the history and the world building and that, it's beautiful. I love it. It's also, in a way, dark academia because it is set at this university. And I think I said I wasn't sure how old they are. They're like 18. So they're out of school. They're at university. So they're 18, 19. In this novel, and obviously the vampires are a lot older. And so it has that kind of dark, really dark academia vibe to it as well, which is great. So this is a trilogy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This literally came out like today. And I'm just like, if I have to wait a whole year, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'll have to reread this a few times. So this is the first one. And it's kind of the first year or first bit of the course in this university as well, which is really cool. So she's kind of gone through that, and then they're going to go through the next step, presumably in the next book, which is really cool. It also leaves you, there are some things that are resolved-ish, and then it leaves you on a clag. I don't know, just I just think, if you're a fan, like I said, of the real kind of gritty vampires, you know, the kind of the harking back to the Buffy, you know, Spike and Buffy type of relationship, if you know, you know. And like I said, True Blood, and kind of really that proper, and with a new take, with a new world, with a new take on mythology, with something fresh. It's gorgeous. I mean, there's a quote in the back here saying intoxicating, compelling, and violently romantic. And I think that is perfect. Like, I couldn't have put it better myself. So I hugely recommend this book. I loved it. I was hoping I would, and it just blew my mind. I loved it. So now that I'm in a total vampire, like literally now I'm like, give me all the vampires. I haven't continued with Tales of a Monstrous Heart, which I'm loving as well, by the way. But because I'm in a vampire mood, I started reading Rachel Harrison's So Thirsty. So this is actually my first Rachel Harrison read. I own a few others. I own Black Sheep and I own Cackle, because both of those, every time I read one of her premises, it kind of really speaks to me. And I also want to get Such Sharp Teeth. So, and I was debating, because I don't have Such Sharp Teeth, but I thought, okay, let me start this. And when I read this, even if I like it, I'll then move on to the other ones and I'll get Such Sharp Teeth, because I want to do a whole, I think Bad Dolls is her short story collection, although I'm not great with short stories. But I want to then do a whole Rachel Harrison video if I like it. And I'm liking it. I am actually pretty far in, like 140 pages in. So this is so much fun. So we're veering slightly differently away from Immortal Dark. But still, this is kind of, I think Rachel Harrison is often described as feminist horror. So this is adult feminist horror. And I think that is a wonderful description. I feel like she's just going to be one of my favorite authors. So we start off with these two women. It's one of their, I can't remember, God, I'm so bad with names. Sloane, that's it. And it's a great name too. Sloane's birthday is coming up. So she's turning 36 and she's married. And her marriage is fine. Her life is fine. It's all fine. And her husband kind of goes, oh, I'm giving you a birthday present. I'm going to send you off on like a holiday. And she's like, oh, great, we're going on a holiday. It's like, no, not with me. Heaven forbid. With your friend. So her friend, who I really love, she's the girlfriend of a rock star. And she's kind of the way she's described with her long black hair and her Penny Lane coat. And I just love the description of her. And she basically, so he's like, oh, she's touring Europe. It's like, no, she's going to come and you guys are going to spend like the weekend in this little cabin in upstate New York. I think it's upstate New York, somewhere where they are. And she's like, oh, okay, fine, and it's so cute. So they end up, there's a real, you get a bit of backstory in their friendship. So this is really about female friendship, which I love as well. And kind of their ups and downs, and you get bits of their past. And then you also, and I think part of Sloane is a little bit jealous of her friend, because her friend is very wild and crazy. And there's a lot of comments in here where she's like, she always does whatever she wants. And she kind of just, whatever she wants, she sort of grabs and takes it, basically. And they are sort of here at this kind of house where they're staying, and they decide to go out, and they meet a couple of kind of slightly strange people. And I think so this is not a spoiler, because like literally it is about vampires. So my sense, and I don't think I have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this out, is that these people are going to be vampires, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get turned into vampires. So I love all it's very funny. It has some really funny elements to it. I like all the kind of musings on your life. So what I also like is that they're kind of talking to each other, and she's a bit like, well, what are you doing with your life? We both know we don't want children. We're both in these relationships that are okay, but not like mind-blowing. And I think Sloane just kind of keeps going, yeah, but it's safe and it's what I know. And again, that really resonated with me in a very deep level of, yes, but it's safe. So if I step out of this, what will happen? So I think that there's a real heart to this. Like I said, it's funny. And then I'm waiting for sort of the vampire portion to kick in, which I think we're just about to get there, right? Because they've kind of gone out for the night. They saw these mysterious people and they're going to go to their house, and we'll see what happens there. But I just love it. And if Rachel Harrison's, I love her writing. I love the way this is crafted. So if Rachel Harrison's other books are like this, I'm going to have a wait of a time with all of her books. So that's my update for now. I'm going to continue reading So Thirsty, and we're going to see what happens. And I will come back and let you know. But yes, first book done, Immortal Dark. Favorite book. I'll speak to you all later. Okay, massive side note, but I went to HomeSense and I found the perfect candle to match this book. Isn't it the cutest thing you've ever seen? There's definitely going to be a photo shoot happening with this. So yeah, there's that. Aging isn't just about our bodies decaying while we're still inside them. It's about living with the accumulation of experiences, the heavy burden of the ugly ones, the longing for the beautiful. That is so good. So, a quick update on So Thirsty, Rachel Harrison. I love this book. So, after Immortal Dark, I was like, you know, when you really love a book and you think, I really hope I'm not going to have a come down. And absolutely not the case. Absolutely loving it. Almost done with it. It's Thelma Louise but naked vampires. I just love it. I think there's so much humor, but like that passage I just read for you as well, it's like there's so much heart and there's so much truth in this story, but it's just a fun ride. Just fun friendship vampires, but with a heart, with a message. I just absolutely love it. This is my first Rachel Harrison book. I am in love with this author. I cannot wait to read the others. So I'm definitely gonna be picking those up like next and doing like a Rachel Harrison video. So I'll be getting any books I don't have of her. So I'm just gonna get everything. Love it. Just absolutely love it. And like the vampire kick. So I'm gonna finish this one and then give you my final thoughts. I'm also about 100 and something odd pages at the towards the end of Tales of a Monstrous Heart, which I'm still absolutely loving. I'll see if I can finish it today. I'll include it in this vlog. If not, I might do another one because I'm definitely not going to get to Lucy Undying this weekend. I think that was really overly ambitious. But also, I wanted to share, I've bought a few new books. So I'll be talking about new releases as well. So I've picked up these. I swear, Waterstones thinks I have a problem. They're going to send me to rehab soon. But I picked up the new Delilah S. Dawson, Guillotine, which, like, hello cover. Amazing. I also have Bloom, so I might do like a video reading both of those. Then A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. I just could not resist. Again, this is one of the ones that I've been anticipating. How gorgeous is that cover? I have to read that. And then This Ravenous Fate by Hayley Dennings. Again, off the back of my love of both, also like these covers are just so cool. Off the back of my love of So Thirsty and Immortal Dark, I could not resist picking up this one, another vampire book set in the 1920s, I believe. So I'm really excited. So I've got those new releases to read as well. So like I said, I'm gonna sit out here, finish this, give you my final thoughts, and then hopefully finish Tales of a Monstrous Heart as well. But if not, we'll do another vlog. But yeah, just checking in. I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, So Thirsty, Rachel Harrison, my final thoughts. It's another 5-star read. This vlog is just... I'm gonna do more vlogs if this is kind of how this will go. I loved it. It's different from Immortal Dark in the sense that it's a lot lighter. You know, there's a lot of kind of humorous bits and things they say to each other, but I think my final kind of thoughts on the whole thing is what I mentioned earlier. It's Thelma Louise but naked vampires, because what I love about this is that it centers around friendship and also about finding yourself and going back to kind of almost digging back into yourself and figuring out who you really are. Especially also what I love about these characters is they're not teenagers. They, like the main character, she's just turned, it's her 36th birthday. And I can really relate to that idea of, you know, years have passed in your life and you've kind of become comfortable. You're in a set routine. Everything's fine. Nothing's terrible. You know, it's not like rock bottom. Nothing's horrible, but it's just not how you wanted your life to go. And if you were talking to your 15-year-old self, telling her about your life, she'd probably slap you. And that's kind of how I feel. So I connected with this book in a very, very deep personal level, and I connected with these characters. It made me think of a lot of things, and I loved the friendship between Sloane and Naomi. And like I said, Sloane is kind of, in a way, the sort of cautious one, but then you kind of get her backstory, which is really cool. And Naomi is kind of the wild child out there living her best life, doing whatever she wants. And they're kind of really complicated friendship, as friendships are. You know, you love somebody one minute and you hate them the next. So I love books about female friendship and about complex, messed up female friendships as well. And this one's not messed up, but it's, you know, it's complex, as these things are. There's also, it's not a romance novel, which is nice. It's nice for a change, because it's about the friendship and it's about, you know, yourself. It also has a lot of action, particularly in the second half. You know, there's blood drinking and there's vampires and there's orgies. Great. Great, we love it. I like the vampires in this book. I just love the whole take on it. I had such a wonderful time reading this, and I read it so quickly because I just loved it. But it's definitely one that I'll be revisiting and going back to. So another 5-star, probably favorite of the year read for me. Rachel Harrison, So Thirsty. And then I've gotten further in Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. I started off this vlog saying how much I love this book and how I was kind of really falling into it, and that hasn't changed. I have on page 374, so I probably have about 100 pages left to go in this, and it is like the best adult fairy tale. It's weird because there's some parallels here. So in terms of the kind of the relationship and the love story in this one, I mean, I have to say Emerus, who's the love interest in this one, is basically my new fictional crush. I'm very envious of Kat. I love Emerus. And I love like I said, all the creatures and the fae and all of that. I'll give my final thoughts on that, so I won't talk about this too much, but just know that I'm absolutely loving it. And like I said, the kind of the complicated relationship and the very, in a way, sort of morally grey characters, two people coming together who are both fighting their own demons and then basically fighting each other, but attracted to each other. So it's kind of echoing Immortal Dark. So I love that. I love that there's actually echoes of the two within each other. So yes, I love it. So I am going to finish that tonight. I am going to, and I'll do a final wrap up on that, and then I'll wrap up the vlog for there. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, Rachel Harrison, So Thirsty. 5 stars. Woo. Okay. Oh, this book has broken me. So I literally just finished reading Tales of a Monstrous Heart, and God, that ending. Whew, okay. That is a really emotional ending. These characters, this book is so, to say this book is good is just, that's not enough. That doesn't really encompass. There's so much emotion, there's so much in these characters, kind of the struggle between the dark and the light, this relationship between Emerus and Kat is so beautiful. And they're both kind of fighting their own demons and fighting each other's demons and fighting the literal demons in the dark, and just Kat's sort of story about how she has fought all her life to be who she is, to be in a world that hates her. And you can draw so many parallels from your own human experience. Yes, we're talking about a character who is, you know, fae, who, you know, this is an imaginary world, but I just feel like you can really kind of draw on your own experiences, and anytime you've ever felt like an outsider, anytime anyone's ever hated you for something that you actually are, whether that be your race, your religion, your sexuality, anything like that, you know, the way you look, the way you are, what you do, you know, that struggle of trying to be true to yourself, but also protect yourself from people that would harm you for it. And there's just so many layers to the story there. Okay. There's also, you know, there's funny elements. There's this incredible, there's loads of really amazing action scenes, and like I said, lots of creatures, and this mythology that's woven through this world is so beautiful. But also at the heart is this just sort of this really human story between characters that aren't actually, you know, fully human. And I can't believe that this is Jennifer Delaney's debut novel, and she just did an incredible job writing the story. It's so beautiful. I know I'm going to read it again. It's one of those books where I just want to kind of get lost in Emerus and Kat's story again, and I want to pick up even more detail the second time. But right now it's incredibly raw and it's incredibly emotional, the ending. And I don't know if there's going to be a second book in this world. It's one of those where it could, but it also couldn't. I don't know. I absolutely loved it. And this is another favorite of the year. And again, all of these books that I've been reading this weekend, I've connected with them emotionally in a way. Where you're talking about, you know, books about vampires and fae, and I think that's what fantasy can really do so well, is, you know, both horror and fantasy. I think it brings out emotions that maybe sometimes books set in the real world don't necessarily, because I don't know, there's just something so raw about these stories. This book is just extraordinary. I absolutely recommend this to anyone to read it. It's beautiful. But expect emotions, expect a ride, expect it to take you on a ride, expect it to kind of drop you into this world and immerse you in it. It's like the kind of fairy tale, like going through the cupboard in Narnia. It's like, it feels like those fairy tales you read when you were kids, sort of like Narnia, like the Philip Pullman books, like Harry Potter, but just as an adult setting. But that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like disappearing into this world that Jennifer's created, and it's just so beautiful. And I was there with these characters every second of the story, and I absolutely loved it. So this has been an incredible vlog, reading vlog weekend. I've loved all of these books. I cannot wait to get to more now, but these are all favorites of the year. So yeah, so like I said, please read this. It is incredible. Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. It's an incredible debut novel and deserves all of the love. So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go I think I'm gonna go down to the gym now and just exercise my emotions out. And I'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, bye.